Welcome in Tim Desher, Executive Director of Unleash Prosperity, and Julia Cartwright's here as well, an economist at the American Institute for Economic Research. Welcome to you both. All right, Tim, start us off with this report. What do you think this means for the future of America's Golden Dome?
Well, I'm concerned. I mean, the drama's great. You know, Elon versus Trump. Is Trump going to cancel? Is he going to go with it? But the bottom line is we need a Golden Dome. It's a $175 billion investment that requires satellite after satellite after satellite, launch after launch after launch. And SpaceX has done about 9,000 of those. I mean, it's incredible the amount compared to all the other competitors that we've seen. So when it comes down to it, for my national security and for yours, Emma, I would rather have a tried and true system that works compared to the drama. So we'll see how it all plays out. But at this point, I think you're going to see SpaceX benefiting a lot from this at this point.
Yeah, and Julia, to you, I mean, how do you weigh sort of the economic aspects of bringing in other partners for the Golden Dome missile defense system versus obviously the national security considerations about who these partners are going to be? Private sector companies, we know, for example, that you've had the Chinese Communist Party penetrate some of the big tech companies. So how do you weigh these competing factors?
Yes, thank you. Something important to keep in mind is that the United States spends 40% of the world's defense budget, more than the other 9 countries behind us combined. So I know that the Golden Dome sounds really shiny, but I think it's important to really question whether or not we need this investment and whether or not we can already leverage infrastructure that we already have. I think Tim makes an interesting point that this will bring a lot of money to the defense industry, but it already has more than by far any other country combined. I think it's important to have strategic partnerships, of course, with defense and really diversify our partnerships when it comes to who we are relying on to build this type of defense.
Okay. Interesting perspective as we hear opening bell on Wall Street rings, another day of trading begins. We're also watching what these trade deals might amount to. We're learning a growing number of European Union member states, including Germany, are considering using wide-ranging anti-coercion measures targeting U.S. services if the EU cannot reach a trade deal with President Trump. So, Tim, what does this tell you about some of those European nations? I mean, when you think of negotiations, would they be doing so as individual countries or as a bloc unit?
Well, I think that they're banding together right now, but I also think that they're dealing with the fact that it's a $2 trillion relationship between the U.S. and Europe. It's the biggest in the world. So, you know, look, we get a lot of stuff from Europe. They send us a lot of goods. We buy a lot of goods from them, but they buy a lot of services from us. And so what you hear Europe saying right now is hey, if you tariff us, we're going to figure out a way, even though they don't have a way really at this point, we're going to figure out a way to tax or tariff those services that you're sending us. So think Netflix or think financial services or something like that. So now they're grappling with how they're going to make that look. But really what needs to happen is that they need to come to the table and they need to negotiate with President Trump and with Secretary Lutnick and with Bessent. That's what has to happen here, because tariff, tax, tax, that's not going to get us to the low to no tariffs that we need for really good, sustained growth that we have here. And one more point, I'll just say this. One big, beautiful bill happened. And so regardless of what we want, $175 billion has been allocated by Congress to go toward the Golden Dome. So we're going to spend it anyway. We might as well spend it in the right place.
Now, Julia, to Tim's point, you know, part of the entire trade war, so-called, is to get to freer, fairer, and more open markets, leveraging the power of the U.S. economy as the world's buyer, essentially, and as the dominant economic power. Flash forward 6 months, a year. Do you think ultimately that we have reduced tariff and non-tariff barriers and a broader free trade architecture that's going to be a boon to the U.S. economy?
I definitely hope so. And I love how you said the goal of these trade negotiations is to bring tariffs down. I very much hope that is the case, but we have heard a lot of different reasons from the Trump administration as to why their tariffs are being leveraged. So I agree with you. I hope it is to bring this down. And absolutely, I think in 6 months, if the markets really can breathe a sigh of relief, especially after this August 1st deadline that's coming up, it will really be able to bake a lot of expectations into the markets and supply chains. And so hopefully our businesses can rest a little bit easy knowing that the trade deals are already done, and hopefully those come soon.
Yeah, and there are supposed to be a lot that might happen in a very short time period if we're all staying on schedule, according to the White House, assuming no other deadline extension. Either way, stay tuned. As always, Tim Desher, Julia Cartwright, thanks so much for coming on today.